annual Midyear workshop is an event put on by ARCS every year where we bring together all the rural medical students as well as rural clinicians and rural academics and our professional staff all in one rural town, and we get together for a week of educational activities.
The Midyear workshop has evolved over the last 17 years. I think the point of it is to bring us together as a rural school because we are all rural or remote, but it also allows the students to practice their skills in the subjects within the fifth year program in a safe environment. So we have a lot of simulation and we have a very safe spot where we have excellent teachers that come together who are passionate about the program. But it's also because we are rural, it brings us into our rural towns and it supports rural communities. Well, they come from multiple sites. They come from as far as Ceduna and Broken Hill and as close as Mount Barker and pretty much everywhere in between, meaning Whyalla and Port Augusta and the vineyard lands and pretty much all the space that we have in South Australia.
The majority of the workshop is formative learning for the students, so we want to provide a safe space for them to learn, to be able to test out skills, particularly in the simulation scenarios, skills that they will need to develop in the coming years as they move into the junior doctor space.
We started with a paediatric MCQ, which was a summative exam, and that's the only summative part of the entire week. So that allows the students to relax and actually just learn and engage with the program. We also had a well-being session with a clinical psychologist who just sets the tone to know that there is a person that they can call to if they are starting to feel overwhelmed, so that's a really important part of the program. We then go into mainly the areas of the fifth year program, which are paediatrics, obstetrics and gynecology, anaesthetics, and then at the end we have a 6-station OSCE. And the OSCE is very important because it's the one time that the students get to practice before the end of year OSCEs, and it's a very valued part of the program.
We run a couple of assessments during the week. So one of the assessments we run is an online exam, and we also run a practical exam that uses an online system. So it's an OSCE exam, and we have electronic marking for that for the examiners. We set up our own network so we can have an intercom and timing system. We also video record all of the student performances so that they can be used for review after the exam. We just make sure that all of that technology that they would have in any other medical training environment is there in a rural location.
I'm not actually convinced I have an end to my mid-year workshop to-do list. It's pretty big. By the time you start from the basic planning on what mid-year is going to look like, and then you start thinking about your dietaries or your equipment, individual needs. Somebody might need a particular room, somebody might have to bring a family member. You've got to factor in for replacement people for patients. So I don't think it ever ends.
So I have overall responsibility for the content as the academic lead for both the workshop and particularly for the exam, the OSCE exam, acknowledging that there are others that do a whole lot of work, particularly around the workshop content, particularly Dr. Lisa White, our simulation coordinator.
Well, I guess if you want to say, I oversee that, make sure everything runs smoothly, even though I've got a lot of great team around me to do that. But I guess from a risk management perspective, I need to make sure that things are safe, and if there's any issues, I'm always on standby to be able to hopefully problem solve if needed, and hopefully not too often.
In the mid-year, we all come together and have a week with focused training, and a lot of that is simulation based, so opportunities across all the courses in lots of different environments to interact with mannequins, simulated patients, and practice the skills and teamwork that we'd like to build throughout that training program.
Well, simulations to me it's a fun, non-invasive, practical way to deliver training to doctors in a closed environment, and kind of there's a rule that what happens in sim stays in sim. So to me it provides an environment where if they make a mistake it doesn't really matter, but they just learn from that. Simulation and through the mid-years workshops over the last couple of years just grown and grown and grown. So we've gone from bringing ferrying gear over in cars to now actually hiring a 5-metre truck from budget. We've got a range of equipment, electronic mannequins that have some electromechanical stuff that we can remote control through electronic tablets and stuff like that.
I really enjoyed mid-year workshop in Port Pirie. I wasn't really sure what to expect going into it, but it was a lot of simulation that I thought was really helpful and stuff that we haven't necessarily been taught before and not really given the opportunity to learn until then. It was really quite fun and I feel like I learnt a lot out of the week, and the practice OSCEs were really helpful for coming into the end of the year to know what to expect as well.
I think a fantastic learning experience. I think the maternity and anaesthetic side of it was very engaging, but there was also a lot of other hands-on practicals that we did there. And I think it was probably one of my favourite weeks of this year.
Well, there are several highlights. I think for me though, because I've been with the program for such a long time, the highlight is that a number of our previous students have come back to teach into the mid-year and orientation week and other things, and they are now rural doctors. So I think that's the highlight because that's our terms of our success. They've not only been our students, they've come back now, they're rural doctors and they're now teaching into the program.
The highlight was two for me. One is being able to get together with the staff. Because we're in a rural program, we don't get face-to-face very often, so it's really, really nice for everyone to get face-to-face. But to get to the end of the Friday and for the students to come to you and go, thank you, it was a worthwhile experience. It worked, we loved it, we'll tell everyone about it. Just getting that feedback's really nice. You know that it's worthwhile and you know that the stress in the build-up to it and making things work, and the students not feeling if there's a problem through the week. Like, if we can just give them an experience, that's the biggest thing for me.
I think one of the highlights has been recognition of Sorry Day and Reconciliation Week, and it was really exciting this year to change our timetable so that we could involve all staff and students in our Sorry Day event.
I think the rural school is such a great cause. We have improved so much over the years, and we have invited deans of medicine, course coordinators to come and join us, and they have been amazed at our innovation through these years. So I think we have built a very strong team who are highly passionate, and I think there's going to be a lot of success in the future going forward.
This wouldn't run without having a fantastic team, and the team works so well together, and look, we all work, we all jump in and do whatever's needed to make this work.
The Rural Midyear Workshop is such a great event for rural medical training in South Australia. It's just so valuable, and it's also a lot of fun, and I can't wait to do it again next year.